At 2:47 local time, 4 B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, call signs Petro 4-1 through 4-4, were approaching Iranian airspace from 3 separate directions. What's their mission? Destroy Iranian ballistic missile storage locations located in deep underground tunnels across the country. The Iranians believed their missiles were safe, but little did they know they were about to experience the freedom Dorito. Petro 4-1 and 4-4 were 90 miles southeast of Tabriz North Missile Base, with the mission leaders deep in the drop. The structure they're about to enter features some impressive engineering. The math is severe, with 8 cave openings and 6 vertical tunnels that allow the Iranians to fire straight upwards, even if they are entombed inside. They must calculate heading speed, time, wind direction, and a half-dozen other variables in order to locate the precise place in space where their payloads must be released. And just in the midst of this calculation, their radios squawk with an error. This is Viper 1. 2 contacts bearing 045 ascending via Angels 20. It looks like fulcrums. 2 MiG-29s are scrambling out of Tabriz Air Base, which is only 15 miles from the missile facility. Petro 4-1 and 4-4 are ready to close. The B-2 aircrew take this in silence. Radio emissions can be detected, geolocated, and exploited. Silence is doctrine, but it does not imply calm. Here is the problem. A B-2 fighting a MiG-29 is like a billionaire in a tuxedo trapped in a dark alley. With a wealth utterly defenseless and surviving solely on the chance that no one recognizes him, Iranian ground radars searching for a spirit could as well be looking for a specific grain of sand on a beach at night. However, a MiG-29 features an infrared search and track sensor known as IRST, which is unaffected by radar cross-sections. It looks for heat, and the 4 General Electric F-118 engines that propel a 150-ton airplane through thin air are not chilly. If the MiGs come within 30 miles, they might detect the thermal signature. Might is not a word that B-2 pilots like. That is why they invited their buddies. The 2 F-22s designated Viper 1 and Viper 2 press military power and turn toward the contacts. Viper 1's APG-77 radar detects both MiGs from 60 miles away. At that distance, the Iranians see nothing on their Zuk ME radars, which were given by Russia last year specifically for this purpose. Inside Petro 4-1 and 4-4, the mission commanders monitor the escort's progress on the tactical display. 2 triangles tugging northeast, 2 red triangles rising southeast, geometry they can't manage. They have control over the bomb run, which is currently set for 70 miles and 12 minutes. They need those MiGs gone before they arrive, because open bomb bay doors increase the B-2's radar cross-section by a factor of 100. At 12 miles, any Iranian radar airborne or ground-based that happens to be gazing in the proper direction receives an early Christmas gift. The mission commanders continue working. The aperture coordinates have been checked, and the tunnel entrance sequences are locked. They cannot afford to look above. Outside, the F-22s are completing the geometry. At 50 miles, Viper 1 activates. He deliberately wants the MiGs to know that someone is around. Radar warning receivers illuminate both Iranian cockpits. 2 distinct locks. The lead mate makes the right decision, banks hard left and descends, dragging towards the mountain ridgeline where landscape debris obscures the view. His wingman follows. They aren't running. They're traveling through the valleys northwest of Tabriz to break the lock and reposition. Nobody wants this circumstance. Running MiGs is a solved problem. Let them go. Fighting MiGs in open skies is a solved problem. Shoot them down. MiGs that hide in terrain clutter and return to the corridor every several minutes. That is a cat and mouse game that consumes time that Petro 4-1 does not have. Viper 1 tally lost. Terrain masking. Bearing lasts 030. 9 minutes until the release. The mission commanders labor silently through the bomb run checklist, while 2 red contacts appear and disappear on the tactical display. Viper 2 grabs the wingman first. Brief infrared bloom as MiG engines reheat after exiting a valley bend. Bearing 02515 kilometers rising. He's making another push down the corridor. Viper 2 makes contact, a single fulcrum in the northeast, climbing through Angels 15 while engaged. The Raptor pilot approaches and takes the shot. AMRAAM screams off the rail, accelerating to Mach 4 with seeker locked. At 15 miles, this should be a routine, but the MiG pilot notices the launch warning and takes the one action that can rescue him. Rolls inverted and dives directly into a canyon. The valley walls swallowed him. The AMRAAM seeker loses the return in ground clutter, and a missile costing more than a house collides into a mountainside instead of a MiG. They aren't outflying the Raptors. They're outrunning the geometry, exploiting terrain they've practiced on for years to prevent clean shots. Every time a MiG rises above the ridgeline, the F-22s have seconds before it vanishes again. Not enough time for a missile to close the gap before the target disappears behind granite. It was the deadliest game of whack-a-mole ever played, except that the moles were going Mach 1.5, and the hammer cost $1 million per stroke. 6 minutes to release. Petro 4-1 and 4-4 are currently on course. The pilots have not touched the controls in 4 minutes. The autopilot maintains direction and altitude with uncanny precision, while the crew does everything else. The mission commanders monitor 3 chats at once. The bomb drop checklist, the F-22s hunting in the mountains, and the AWACS feed locating the second MiG somewhere in the lowlands below. Viper 1 locates the lead MiG. He has circled south and is rushing back towards Tabriz at low altitude. The heading is uncertain. Could be running for the base. Could be swinging wide for another push down the corridor. In any case, he's below the ridgeline, and Viper 1 can't keep him still long enough to shoot. 4 minutes. The mission commander reveals the final sequence. The bomb bay doors will open in 90 seconds. 10 seconds of maximal exposure. Everything in this aircraft is designed to keep the cross-section at marble size, including stealth coatings, curved surfaces, and a radar-absorbing structure. Open doors transform that marble into a barn. Viper 2 is nosing over and sinking back into the terrain. The wingman stopped his second push, dived back into the valleys. Viper 2 watches the infrared bloom fade behind a ridgeline. He is still out there. So is the lead. 2 MiGs are playing hide-and-seek in mountains they know well than anyone. Too fast to ignore. Too deep in the mess to finish. 2 minutes? The mission commander makes the call. The MiGs are located below and behind. The current geometry puts them outside of 30 minutes. IRST detection at that range via terrain versus a B-2 at 42,000 feet. Unlikely. Not impossible. Unlikely. The word B-2 crews despise. He allows the formation to proceed. At 0259, the bomb bay doors open. Rotary launchers fire up. GPS acquisition is confirmed on all weapons. 2 MiG-29 pilots are still searching for an unidentified target somewhere in the mountains beneath them. They'll never find it. However, for 10 seconds, if either one happens to pop over a ridgeline with his IRST pointing at the exact perfect patch of sky, the B-2S are exposed. GBU-31S disappear into the Iranian night. Each tail kit has 4 fins that adjust 10 times per second, directing 2,000 pounds of hardened steel to individual target points distributed across a half-mile of mountain. The bomb bay doors close. The marble returns. The first 3 hit the eastern tunnel entrance with terminal velocity. 2,000 pounds of penetrator is applied to reinforced concrete. The entry does not crack, it folds. Rock cascades down the rock face, covering the opening with hundreds of tons of material. The pattern repeats throughout the complex, with 3 at each entrance. The ceiling hatches, which are supposed to open upwards against gravity, instead collapse downward into the launch bays when the penetrators pierce through and detonate within. Petro 4-1 and 4-4 head west. There are 14 hours of flight left. At $170,000 every flying hour, the trip home alone would be more expensive than a college education. Behind the aircraft, the mountain is still settling, and somewhere in the valleys beneath the debris, 2 MiG-29 pilots circle a target that no longer exists. 600 miles south, Petro 4-2 has just encountered a dilemma that stealth cannot resolve. Petro 4-2 is 8 minutes from being released when 2 difficulties arise simultaneously. The first one tries to destroy the crew. The second one is attempting to help. After Israel dismantled Iran's Russian-supplied S-300 batteries last year, Iranian engineers developed a domestic replacement under sanctions. Mobile Phased Array Radar has an engagement range of approximately 150 kilometers. The IDF would later refer to it as the SA-65. Although not as capable as the S-300, it is capable of ruining a B-2 crew's night. This battery has been hidden in the mountains south of Isfahan for 3 hours, waiting for a target worth the risk. At 0311, its radar focuses on Petro 4-2. The battery commander has committed. He's going for the shot. The Growler in Petro 4-2's escort detects the emission immediately. The ALQ-249 next-generation jammer floods the tracking frequency with enough radiated power to convert the SA-65 display to electronic noise. An F-35 that has been passively cataloging that exact emission source for 90 minutes sends grid coordinates via Link 16 to a Growler orbiting 40 miles west. The Growler comes in. A GM-88 harm from the pylon. Its integrated ramjet accelerates. Mach 4 and climbing, 60 seconds. That's how long the SA-65 battery can last. However, 60 seconds is also the time it takes for a missile to reach the firing solution against a target at Petro 4-2 altitude. The race is on. Harm versus Sam and the B-2 serves as the finish line for both. 7 minutes to release. The mission commander is coordinating 16 aim points in 2 cave complexes southwest and northwest of Isfahan. 3 bombs per tunnel entrance. The same math as Tabriz, minus the ceiling apertures. Should be simpler. Should be is a relative term here. That's when the CAOC's controller voice interrupts the frequency with a tone that has no place in a routine deconfliction call. Petro 4-2 on standby. Airspace conflict. Corridor 2. Multiple friends crossed the coordination line. The corridor leading into Isfahan was choreographed to the second. Every airplane is in a box. Each box is separated by altitude and geography. Then 4 TEL transporter erector launchers emerged from a cave entrance 18 miles east of Isfahan. Shahab 3 variants are heading for dispersal sites. An Israeli Adir flight detected the convoy using infrared. 4 missiles would be pointed at Israeli cities within an hour. The Israeli flight leader did not seek permission. He and his wingman broke east across the coordination line. Both jets are approaching the convoy with GBU-39 small-diameter bombs on rails. The TELs were moving. Waiting for clearance meant losing them in the mountain passes. Say whatever you like about coalition coordination. When someone rolls Shahab 3s toward Tel Aviv, the Israelis do not form a committee. They form a strike package. Now the mission commander inside Petro 4-2 is overseeing a bomb run while two separate crises unfold outside the aircraft. South, the AGM-88 is 40 seconds away from impact. However, the SA-65 is still tracking. Its operators have not turned the radar off. Either they don't realize the danger is approaching, or they've decided that a shot at a B-2 is worth having their faces on a t-shirt. The Growler injects jamming power into the tracking frequency, degrading the missile solution. Purchasing seconds, but jamming degrades. It does not guarantee. If the SA-65 can find a clear enough path through the noise to launch before the threat arrives, a surface-to-air missile bearing Petro 4-2's name will be in the air. East-2 Israeli stealth fighters are now inside Petro 4-2's corridor, approaching the same block of airspace from below. Aircraft designed to be unable to see each other on radar. 3 invisible jets colliding in the same area of sky is the military aviation equivalent of 3 blindfolded people running through a parking lot. Petro 4-2 at 42,000 heading east. At 25,000, the Adirs are climbing southeast. Vertical separation is real, but it is shrinking. 5 minutes to release. The mission commander has 16 bombs programmed to 16 aim points, and he can feel both problems pressing in from opposite directions. The kayak at Al Udeid goes after the deconfliction first. Push Petro 4-2's release point 3 miles north to create lateral separation from Israeli jets. That means reprogramming GPS coordinates on 16 weapons while closing in on the target at 8 miles per minute. The mission commander is already moving his fingers across the targeting display, updating aim points one at a time. He's done this in simulation nearly 100 times, but never while a SAM battery is actively attempting to shoot down his aircraft. Venom's status on the SA-65. The F-35 flight leader responds. The harm is 20 seconds away. The SA-65 is still radiating and tracking. The jamming is keeping its missile solution below the launch threshold. Probably. No one on this frequency wants to bet a B-2 on, probably. 3 minutes until release. The Israeli Adirs approach the convoy. The lead jet comes in and pickles a GBU-39 on the first tell. 250 pounds, diamond-shaped wings, GPS guided. It glides for 60 miles before colliding with the truck chassis. The Shahab 3's propellant tank ruptures. The secondary fireball destroys the infrared for 2 full seconds. The wingman has already started lining up the second truck. The tragedy strikes south of Isfahan. The AGM-88G's millimeter wave seeker doesn't care that the SA-65 operator turned off his radar 3 seconds ago. The SA-65 operator was unaware that the AGM-88G retains a grudge-like memory even when the radar is turned off. GPS and inertial navigation guide the warhead to the exact location where the antenna was radiating 30 seconds ago. The warhead detonates, transforming a year of Iranian engineering under sanctions into a debris field in the mountains. A $1 billion air defense program is met by a missile that the United States. The Navy orders printer paper in the same way that most people order it. 2 minutes to release. The mission commander has reprogrammed 12 of the 16 aim points. His fingers haven't stopped moving since the chaos known as the shift. The Israeli winger hits the second tell. The remaining 2 trucks scatter into different mountain passes. Someone else will have a problem in an hour. Both Adirs break south, returning across the coordination line. Petro 4-2 Corridor 2 is open and cleared hot. 60 seconds. The mission commander completes the final 4 aim points. He confirms the sequence with all 16 tracking to the adjusted coordinates. At 0317, the bomb bay doors open. 16 GBU-31s are directed toward 2 cave complexes southwest of northwest Isfahan. When you use penetrator warheads to punch through the mountain's front doors, it does what mountains do: collapses inward, seals itself shut, 3 per entrance. Rock and reinforced concrete cascade down to encase everything inside. Petro 4, 2 heads for home. Petro 4, 300 miles southeast, is closing in on a target that the other 2 crews did not encounter. A cave complex that isn't sitting still in the darkness. This one is shooting. At 0322 local time, the Petro 4-3 crew can hear the war on the radio. The AWACS controller's voice has a sharpness that was not present 20 minutes ago. Clipped. Fast. The cadence of someone who regrets tracking things. 300 miles southeast within a cave complex near Corgu. Iranian missile crews loaded rounds into launch bays as quickly as their automated loaders could cycle. They had no idea that a mission commander at 42,000 feet was counting their rhythm and intends to use it against them. Multiple ballistic launches, bearing 173. The source grid matches the target package Kilo 7. Kilo 7. That is Petro 4-3's goal, a missile cave complex in the mountains surrounding Corgu, and it is currently firing. Ballistic missiles arcing out of overhead apertures on trajectories towards coalition installations across the Gulf. Al-Udeid, Ali al-Salam, Al-Dafra, bases where Patriot and FAT batteries are already overloaded, attempting to intercept inbound rounds. This facility is currently in a fight, putting missiles on trajectories faster than the coalition's interceptor stocks can absorb them. Every minute it remains operational means another round arcs over the Gulf. The crew does not require a briefing on what that means. They need to close this cave down. 16 GBU-31s. The loadout is the same as the other 2 aircraft, but the targeting priorities are completely different. He monitors the AWACS feed. Another launch from Aperture 1. The clock starts. Mark on Aperture 1. 4 minutes. Petro 4-3 is 11 minutes from its release point at the current heading and altitude. He cannot catch this window, so he prepares for the next one. Another missile will be launched from that aperture in about 8 minutes. Reload plus launch sequence. Following the launch, the bay empties again. That is his window. He intended to use Iran's own firing schedule as a weapons delivery schedule. The cave was basically telling him when to knock. The pilot adjusts. A slight throttle increase. 2 degrees of heading correction. The mission commander modifies the attack sequence. The first strike comes from the aperture, timed to the cave's own rhythm. Tunnel entrances come last. At 0331, AWACS signals another launch from Corgu. The mission commander records the time. Starts the 4-minute countdown. Petro 4-3 cleared hot. Bombay's doors open. Maximum exposure. The pilot locks in. Heading, altitude, airspeed. Hands remain steady on the controls. The rotary launcher cycles. GPS is confirmed on all 16. The first pair of GBU-31s descends towards Aperture 1. 90 seconds since the previous launch. The bay below is empty, with the next round still being pushed from the storage chamber to the rail. The Blue 109 warheads penetrate the overhead hatches and detonate within the vacant bay. The blast crushes the automated loading mechanism, buckles the launch rail, and flattens the inertial chamber ceiling. Nothing is firing from this bay now. 8 seconds later, the second pair reaches Aperture 2. The same timing, the same result. Both launch bays were destroyed in between firing cycles. There is no controlled secondary. There is no scattered propellant. Clean hits in empty chambers. The remaining 12 GBU-31s walk across the tunnel entrances in threes. Eastern entrance, western entrance. 2 service tunnels provide ventilation and vehicle access. Each collapses under successive 2,000-pound impacts. Rock and reinforced concrete cascade down to seal the opening. Corgu becomes silent. The AWACS controller, who has been calling launches for the past hour, pauses, waits, scans. There are no more tracks on bearing 173. The cave that was feeding missiles into the fight 5 minutes ago has just gone completely dark. Tonight, they discovered why American roads have potholes. The money was spent elsewhere to create larger holes. If you enjoyed this video, check out our other video about the first day of the war against Iran. Bye for now.